What if the worst day of your life isn't your greatest enemy, but the doorway to the strongest version of yourself? And what if your biggest mistake is believing you must wait for life to improve before allowing yourself to feel good? Today you'll discover why feeling good during chaos isn't weakness, ignorance, or pretending. It's one of the most powerful psychological decisions you can make, and it may completely change the direction of your life. If this message is helping you see your struggles from a completely different perspective, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs hope more than advice. Every week, we explore the hidden patterns of the mind and discover practical ways to transform suffering into strength. Now let's continue. Your emotional state is not created by the world around you as much as it is shaped by the meaning you give to what happens. Two people can face the same disappointment, the same loss, or the same failure, yet one becomes trapped in despair while the other discovers unexpected strength. The difference is not always in the event itself, but in the hidden beliefs silently directing every emotional response. What you repeatedly tell yourself becomes the emotional reality you eventually live. The mind has a natural tendency to react before it understands. It quickly labels experiences as good or bad, success or failure, hope or defeat. These instant judgments often come from old fears, painful memories, and deeply rooted patterns that operate beneath conscious awareness. When these patterns remain unexamined, they begin making choices for you, convincing you that your feelings are controlled entirely by circumstances when they are actually being influenced by something much deeper. Choosing how you respond does not mean ignoring pain or pretending that suffering does not exist. It means refusing to let pain become the ruler of your inner world. You can acknowledge sadness without becoming sadness. You can experience disappointment without surrendering your identity to it. Every moment offers a quiet opportunity to pause, observe your emotions, and decide whether they deserve complete control over your thoughts and actions. The greatest freedom appears when you stop believing that every feeling must be obeyed. Emotions are important messengers, but they are not permanent truths. Fear can speak with confidence while telling lies. Anger can demand action while hiding deeper wounds. Hopelessness can feel convincing while the future remains completely unknown. When you observe these emotions instead of immediately following them, you begin reclaiming the authority that has always belonged to you. Real transformation begins when feeling good becomes a conscious decision rather than a reward you wait to receive from life. You stop expecting perfect circumstances before allowing yourself peace. Instead, you create peace first, and from that inner stability, you face every challenge with greater clarity, resilience, and wisdom. The world may continue changing around you, but your emotional foundation becomes something that no external storm can easily destroy. Pain rarely remains the size of the event that created it. The mind quietly adds stories, assumptions, and memories until a single disappointment begins to feel like proof that everything is falling apart. What started as one difficult moment becomes a chain of fearful thoughts, each one strengthening the next. The deeper you believe these thoughts without questioning them, the heavier your suffering becomes. Beneath conscious awareness, old emotional wounds continue influencing the present. A small rejection may awaken memories of being ignored. A simple failure may revive feelings of not being good enough. The unconscious does not always separate yesterday from today. It connects familiar emotions and convinces you that the same pain will continue forever, even when reality offers no such certainty. Fear gains its greatest power when it remains unseen. Instead of appearing as a passing emotion, it disguises itself as absolute truth. It whispers that nothing will improve, that every opportunity has disappeared, and that every mistake defines who you are. Because these thoughts feel convincing, the mind accepts them without recognizing that they are reflections of fear rather than reflections of reality. The moment you begin observing your thoughts instead of becoming them, their influence starts to weaken. You realize that not every fear deserves belief, and not every emotion deserves obedience. The unconscious loses its control when its hidden patterns are brought into awareness. What once seemed overwhelming begins to reveal itself as a habit of thinking instead of an unchangeable destiny. Healing begins when you stop feeding suffering with endless, fearful interpretations. Pain may still exist, but it no longer grows beyond its natural size. By meeting difficult moments with awareness instead of automatic fear, you create space for hope, wisdom, and emotional balance. The struggle does not disappear overnight, but it also no longer controls the direction of your life. Many people believe that feeling good during difficult times means ignoring reality or pretending that nothing is wrong. In truth, it is one of the bravest choices a person can make. It is easy to surrender to despair when life becomes uncertain. It takes far greater strength to protect your inner peace while facing challenges with open eyes and an honest heart. Life will always bring moments of loss, disappointment, and uncertainty. These experiences cannot always be controlled, but your relationship with them can. When you decide that your emotional well-being will not be completely dictated by external events, you begin developing a quiet resilience that cannot be easily shaken. This is not resistance to reality, but a deeper acceptance of it. The mind often believes that suffering proves seriousness, and that joy should be postponed until every problem has been solved. This belief creates an endless cycle, because life is never completely free of challenges. If you wait for perfect conditions before allowing yourself peace, you may spend years chasing a moment that never arrives. Inner strength grows when you choose gratitude, hope, and calm, even while uncertainty remains. Feeling good in difficult times does not erase pain. It changes the way you carry it. Instead of allowing hardship to define your identity, you recognize it as one chapter of a much larger story. You continue moving forward with compassion for yourself, knowing that every challenge has the potential to reveal wisdom that comfort alone could never teach. True courage is not the absence of fear or sadness. It is the decision to keep your heart open when everything encourages you to close it. It is choosing kindness when bitterness feels easier, hope when doubt grows louder, and peace when chaos surrounds you. In that decision, you discover a strength that no external circumstance can ever take away. The unconscious mind quietly shapes much of your emotional life without asking for permission. It stores forgotten experiences, unresolved fears, and deeply rooted beliefs that continue influencing your thoughts long after the original events have passed. When something painful happens in the present, these hidden patterns often awaken, making the situation feel far more overwhelming than it truly is. A single setback can trigger emotions that seem far greater than the event itself. You may believe you are reacting only to today's problem, but beneath the surface, the unconscious is connecting it to old disappointments, moments of rejection, or fears that were never fully understood. The mind blends the past with the present until it becomes difficult to tell the difference between what is happening now and what once happened before. Fear thrives in the darkness of the unknown. Hidden beliefs quietly repeat the same message, that failure will last forever, that happiness is temporary, or that you are not capable of overcoming what stands before you. Because these beliefs operate beneath awareness, they often feel like undeniable truths rather than learned patterns. Without realizing it, you begin living according to stories that were written long ago. The first step toward freedom is bringing these hidden influences into the light of awareness. Instead of reacting automatically, you begin asking why a situation affects you so deeply. As you observe your thoughts without immediately believing them, you discover that many of your fears are echoes from the past rather than accurate reflections of the present. Awareness weakens the grip of unconscious patterns and creates space for wiser choices. Lasting transformation begins when you stop allowing hidden fears to control your emotional world. Every moment of honest self-reflection reveals another piece of yourself that was waiting to be understood rather than feared. As the unconscious becomes more conscious, your reactions become calmer, your decisions become clearer, and your inner life becomes guided by understanding instead of old emotional shadows. The greatest transformations rarely begin when life feels comfortable. They often emerge during moments of uncertainty, loss, and emotional confusion. When everything appears to be falling apart, the mind naturally focuses on what has been taken away. Yet beneath that surface struggle, something deeper is quietly beginning to change. The old version of yourself starts losing its hold, creating space for a stronger and wiser one to emerge. Most people try to escape difficult seasons as quickly as possible, believing that hardship has nothing to offer except pain. But every challenge forces you to confront parts of yourself that comfort keeps hidden. Your fears become visible, your habits are exposed, and the beliefs that once controlled you begin revealing their weaknesses. Without these moments of pressure, much of your hidden potential would remain asleep. Growth is rarely pleasant because it asks you to release familiar ways of thinking. The identity built around fear, approval, or certainty cannot survive unchanged when life demands something greater. Although this process feels uncomfortable, it is often the beginning of genuine freedom. Every obstacle invites you to become someone who no longer depends on perfect circumstances to experience peace and confidence. When you stop asking why life is becoming harder and begin asking what it is trying to teach you, your perspective changes completely. Every setback becomes an opportunity to develop patience, courage, wisdom, and resilience. Instead of seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances, you become an active participant in your own transformation. The struggle remains real, but it no longer feels meaningless. One day you may look back at the period you once feared the most and realize it became the foundation of your greatest strength. The moments that seemed like endings were quietly preparing new beginnings. While everything around you appeared uncertain, your inner world was learning how to stand on its own. That is why the darkest seasons often become the birthplace of the brightest version of yourself. Peace does not begin when every problem disappears. It begins the moment you stop fighting reality and start observing yourself with honesty. Most suffering is intensified not only by what happens, but by the endless resistance to what has already happened. The mind keeps asking why things are unfair, why life should have been different, or why the past cannot be changed. In that struggle, it loses the ability to see the present clearly. Reality asks for acceptance before it allows transformation. Acceptance does not mean approving of pain or giving up on change. It means seeing the truth without adding unnecessary fear, anger, or denial. When you stop arguing with the facts of the present moment, your energy is no longer wasted on resistance. Instead, it becomes available for thoughtful action and meaningful growth. Observing yourself is one of the most powerful forms of inner awakening. Rather than immediately reacting to every emotion, you begin watching your thoughts as they arise. You notice fear without becoming fear. You notice anger without allowing it to control your actions. This quiet awareness creates a space between you and your emotions, where wisdom has the chance to guide your response instead of impulse. Many emotional battles continue simply because they are never questioned. The mind repeats familiar stories until they seem permanent. But when you observe these stories with curiosity instead of blind belief, their influence begins to fade. You discover that many of the thoughts causing your suffering are not facts, but old habits of perception. Awareness breaks the cycle that unconscious reactions keep alive. Lasting peace is not found by escaping life's difficulties, but by changing the way you meet them. Every moment of honest observation strengthens your ability to remain calm in the middle of uncertainty. As you stop resisting reality and begin understanding yourself, your inner world becomes steadier, clearer, and more resilient. From that place of quiet awareness, even the greatest challenges lose the power to define who you are.